Okay, how's the audio level? Can you guys hear me okay? All right, I just realized I did not change the camera to normal color, so give me 1 second. I'm gonna do just that. The camera, I literally, when I hit start stream, so it's like 5 minutes, I had to pull the camera out, get the second light, and I'm realizing that it's still in log format. So give me 1 second. You guys aren't going colorblind. All right. Yay! The colors are back. The colors are good. So we should be here. So thank you. Oh, come on. Come on, Panasonic. There we go. Focus on my face. Anthony, how are you, my friend? Okay, hold on. Usually it worked, and it worked no problem. Hello. Focus on me. There we go. Wow, look at all these people who haven't been here in a while. All right, give me... I really don't want to pull up the other camera. All right. Oh, I think it's this. Scott, Gabriel. All right, guys, give me 2 more seconds. I need to... Give me 2 seconds. Hold on. All right. Whoa. I'm still here. Give me a second. The heck happened? When I switch camera modes, it disconnected us. Okay. Let's see. I am still here. All right. There's a ton of really good topics. Give me 1 second. What's going on with this? Oh. Jesus. There we go. Black magic. We shall get this working. I keep pressing buttons, and that's what happens. James, stop it. Now, what you can say is a bunch of friends would be making fun of me for having like so much camera gear and stuff, and a regular iPhone would work. All right. Let me switch to this. There we go. Yay! We're working, and it's in focus and all that stuff. Terrific. See, I can figure this out. Yay! Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. I see there's actually a whole bunch of people, a bunch of new people. So thank you. All right. So what I want to do, I'm not sure if we're going to have any guests or any of our friends popping up and joining with us. So what we're going to do is I do have my set of topics and stuff that I wanted to discuss with you guys. And then if we're going to have anybody pop on, it's probably going to be in about 20 minutes or so, because I do. One of the things that kind of like my goal for the live streams is to answer a whole bunch of your questions, and possibly if there's an opportunity to cut some of these down into snippets or make it like an audio podcast or something like that, I definitely want to do that. And when we have guests on and stuff, it's like things just go like all over the place. So that's what we have. But I did go out to the range today, recorded a whole bunch of videos, played with a bunch of stuff. So that's why I have a whole bunch of stuff from there to discuss. Let me go for some of the comments before we get through. Thank you, everybody, as always, who has been a supporting channel member. Thank you, everyone. It's for legit. You're the reason. If you guys don't watch the videos, you don't participate in the live streams, there's really no point for me to making a lot of these videos. It is cool to see your own voice and stuff, but it's funny. It's like vanity, or it's like why do some people put videos out there? Some of them really are in love with the sound of their own voice. But like personally, like I can't stand watching my older videos. I'm like, wow, how do people actually watch that stuff? So it's nuts. So thank you, everybody who has been supporting channel member. We are going to be now doing more member only channel live streams. Usually there's some shorter videos that I don't feel are going to be just good enough as a public video. So a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, I do leave that over only as members only content. And then for members only, we do members only giveaways and stuff as well. So thank you to all of those guys. If you want to help support the channel, obviously just hit the join button somewhere right around there. And you can also send a super chat. I will make sure to address those questions during this. One person that I know is probably not going to join us today is Ilya, Dark Lord of Optics. He actually had for those that know me, and as I've been talking about, like one of the reasons why I haven't had a regular schedule up until about a week ago or two is that where I am filming right now in the basement, about like 2 months ago, we had like a freak rainstorm. We had 5 or 6 inches of rain come down within an hour. Even though we have working sump pumps and everything, this whole thing was flooded. And so this desk is 32 inches. We had we had water covering this. So we had somewhere between 32 and 36 inches of rain in here. And the reason why we know that, I know this was completely covered. And then the back one, like where my camera equipment is sitting right there, that's at 36 inches, and that was dry. So yeah, fun stuff. But no, so basically Ilya, he posted some pictures. So one of his water pipes ruptured, one of the water pressure return hoses ruptured, and basically like for 4 hours the water was going nonstop, and basically his entire house got flooded, but in the sense of like walls and all that stuff. So you might not be seeing some of the videos from him for a little bit, but probably I'll try to get a update or something along those lines. So apparently Ilya's house, basically right now he has so from what he said, the floor should be okay, but since it happened on the second floor, all of the walls and everything from the second floor down were completely wet. They had to pull all the walls and the ceilings and also all the drywall and stuff in order to get the air circulating through there. But hey, he lives in New Mexico, so it's a dry heat. So hopefully it'll help a little bit with the humidity. He was like, we got was it 10 or 20 fans going plus 4 dehumidifiers. So that sucks. Because I mean, at least here when we got flooded, I mean, fortunately I was up, so I was able to get all the camera equipment, and my guns are on that side behind the camera. And anything on the low end, I was able to pull out in totes and things like that. But it's like when you're away, it's like, that kind of sucks. Yep, fun stuff. All right, so let me kind of go for some of these comments, and then we'll go through. See, so the most peculiar part about this, I mean, like almost like the cynical sense, I'm like, I wonder how much his water bill is going to be. So we have a well, so but like, aren't there actually like leak detectors or things like that? They're like supposed to detect if things are happening and it just shuts your water off and things like that. So, yep. Drew, yeah. So Drew, thank you for being a channel member as always. Buying a house, or I thought the roller coaster was supposed to be fun. I'm not having fun in this ride. Didn't you say that you're going to be done with that one? Anthony, thank you for joining, buddy. Haven't seen you in such a long time. Are you going to come out to the range or no? Gabriel, thank you, sir. Scott, haven't seen you in a while. James, as always. I'm going to Texas, to the DFW area, October 3rd through the 5th. So I'm flying in on the 3rd in the morning, and then I'm flying back home on the 5th in the evening. So if you want to get together or whatnot, we can do that. I'm flying in for a YouTube conference. Stop it. The only good guns Springfield makes are 1911s and maybe the XD line. Okay, so we're definitely going to talk about that. The stream is really... Okay, now you people are just being facetious. All right, so 8K, I was planning on actually upgrading camera to 8K, but that just might be a little too much. All right, so I really want to know with this drama, and then we'll get into the topic. Buzz, my real estate agent dropped the ball on 3 houses, one of which she sold to her friend for a kickback. Yeah, it happens. I know about it, debating whether to take her license or not. Don't. Maybe it was meant to be. Where in Florida are you again? So if you need a good realtor in the Daytona Beach, St. Augustine area, let me know. I know a couple there, and actually a friend of mine, she owns one of the agencies, so she does a lot of not off the books, but like off market stuff. Hey, Drew, weren't you buying in Florida? All right, so people really are coming in here for the Springfield story. We were going to get right on it, I promise. Slav shooting Athlon Ares ETR. I have actually never played with the Ares ETR. Probably should ask Athlon for that one. What I did just play with is the Kronos BTR Gen 2. The Ares could be interesting, but so kind of like the issue is it's like $1,300, or at least the regular ETR was. And for a Chinesium scope, that's a lot of money, because right around that same price point right now, you can get the excellent Japanesium or Philippinesium scopes. So like the Tract Torics and stuff, they're going to be there. So I mean, kind of like me personally, my own limit on Chinesium made stuff is probably going to be about like 700 to 800 or 1,000. Anything above that, I simply think you can get better, more consistent products. I mean, one of the things, I guess, okay, if we're talking about optics on this side, and this was actually one of the topics for the day. So the thing to consider is with optics companies, how is it that you can have a, let's say, call it a $500 scope, which is going to be the same quality as, let's say, something that's generally sold for 1,000, and it's really going to be depending on who's paying the markups. So all of this stuff, all of the scopes, anything that's made overseas, especially stuff that's like private label. Okay, fine. I guess here you want a great example. Here's one: shooting tripods. So Vortex came out with their Vortex Radian carbon fiber tripod. And this is kind of actually how I got into this whole space. So the Vortex Radian carbon fiber tripod, Vortex doesn't make it. Vortex doesn't do anything with them. The only thing that Vortex does is slap their name on it, and because that tripod is made for them by Leophoto. Now, if the Vortex Radian carbon fiber tripods look awfully similar to the Athlon and the Loophole, and I think there's one or two other companies, That's because they are. It's the exact same tripod. All of those tripods are made for them by Leophoto, and then you have a couple other competitors that make some of the others. Um, so Leophoto makes the exact same tripod for a lot less money. So what are the kind of like the economics of it? So Vortex Radiant, so Vortex, when they come up with product, let's say for example they have $1,000 MSRP or $1,000 street price on there, their dealers need to make money. So their dealer, so the dealer cost on that $1,000 tripod is going to be right around $500 to $600. Now, there's distributors oftentimes involved, and oftentimes the distributors need to make money, and then the price that Vortex sells it to the distributors, the dealers too, they also need to make the money as well. So Vortex's price on those tripods is actually closer to 400 or even a little bit less, probably in the low 350s based on the volume that they're doing. So what do you think that actual shooting tripod costs to make if you didn't care? Well, you can probably get something very that exact same tripod without the Vortex name for it cost them probably about $150 if you wanted to go get it private labeled for yourself. There's that massive markups because the markups have to be passed on. So as it relates to the optics world, you kind of have a lot of the exact same thing. So you do have mostly the way that the industry has been a two-tier distribution system. And Athlon pretty much is a carbon copy of Vortex, and Vortex is a carbon copy of what Nikon and Bushnell and others before them have done. Now, Athlon, and when it comes to optics, Athlon does do a bunch of their own engineering. They don't simply just kind of like go to an OEM and be like, okay, we want option A, option B, etc. A lot of companies, they basically just like slap their name onto a pre-existing optic, and that's it. So when we're comparing, let's say $1,000 or $1,300 Vortex or something similar, in reality, you're basically getting a scope that if it didn't have Athlon or Vortex on it, you're basically getting a $200 scope. The flip side to that is you have companies that are going to be like more direct to consumer, DTC. So right now, the DTC companies are generally going to be Tract Optics and Maven Optics. You do have a couple of others, but they can't really decide. So Athlon being one, I'm sorry, not Athlon, Arkin being one of them. They can't really decide what they want to do. When they launch, we're like, oh yeah, we're going to go dealer. We're going to go for dealers. Then like we're consumer direct. So they really don't know. And they keep changing their mind about it all the time, which kind of like irritates me and pisses me off. So with companies like Tract, and when they have, let's say, for example, a $1,500 scope, their costs are significantly lower because they're not paying 30 or 40% markups that distributors need to make. So they can truly make for the same price point, they can make a better scope, and they don't necessarily need to lower the volume. So they don't need to have like, I'm sorry, they don't need to lower the margins. They don't need to have like those massive volumes in order to come up with the same product. So as it relates to the ETR, because it's kind of like at the $1,000 price point or so, if it's you as the consumer, I mean, let's put it this way, $1,300 for an Aries ETR or $1,300 for a Tract, it's not even a discussion, because the Tract is generally going to be a superior scope, more innovative features, you have more. It's granted, it's a smaller company, but it's going to be a Japanese-made scope, a little bit more stringent, really nice design, and all of that stuff on there. So hopefully that makes sense. But I will absolutely play with it. So I think kind of like the challenge for Athlon at that price point in particular is that it's running up against a lot of the Tract Toric scopes. I'm not even necessarily worried about Maven because Maven, it's going to be really catered towards the hunters and the stuff that would be ideal for the precision rifle world. It's like they just have absolutely no interest whatsoever in marketing properly. Okay. 2020 waypoint. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the Rimfire, but what I will say is, so the problem with 7 PRC, yes, it would be cool, but basically Springfield needs to do the 2020 long action, and we're not doing the 2020 long action. So, yep. All right, I love bear. Let's go shoot. Probably not going to have time to shoot, but we'll definitely have time to go grab lunch. Okay, so yes, that's because the Aries is a really good Chinesium scope, and the Kronos is not that great of a Japanese scope, and that's why the delta between them is a little bit less. All right, so let me go on topic and then. Hey, look who it is. Hello, Mr. Aaron. Thank you for joining us. All right. I'm going to go back for the comments later. All right, so let's actually. So went out to the range today, not today, a couple of days ago, and finally got a chance to play with the Springfield 2020 Rimfire. So I will admit I had my first time buying a gun, kind of hoping that it sucks because it would make for an interesting video, but the whole drama behind it, and I did a couple of shorts with it. So Springfield launched a 2020 Rimfire. I haven't worked with Springfield. We did some videos at Shot Show together, but I haven't never sent me anything or anything else along those lines. So when I saw the Springfield Rimfire 2020, I'm like, wow, this actually looks fairly cool. It looks like a nice rimfire cartridge. It would be a good trainer for somebody who shoots with a 2020 centerfire rifle. And overall, it looked like it was a target-focused rifle. They did have an accuracy guarantee, and all of the launch videos for the gun were like, "Oh my god, this thing is like really, really good." But obviously, basically, the issue is that it was a 2020 launch by the 2020 shill party. Aaron, we're going to need to discuss that. Definitely would be interesting. Okay. So when the what I'll call them the Springfield launch party, I'm not going to quite call them the Springfield shill party, but when the rifle launched, pretty much all of the videos that were on the rifle were like, this is a fantastic rifle, it shoots really, really well, and it's almost like it's like the second coming. But then, like a few weeks later, when the rifles were finally started to be available, we had a number of YouTuber friends who do shoot precision rimfire and others. They started buying the rifles and were like, wow, this thing can't actually shoot. It's like it has a lot of really, really nice features, and the action on it is really nice. I mean, the rimfire action on there, it's like it's super smooth. The bolt is nicely coated, and it's like it's really nice. I mean, like it feels really, really nice. The trigger is not bad. I haven't adjusted it. It's a little heavy, but it's fairly clean. The stock on it feels pretty good. And overall, it seemed like it was going to be like a really nice rifle. I mean, and one of the big selling points on that rifle was that it would be a great trainer because it takes Remington 700 trigger. So let's say, for example, your full rifle uses a trigger tech or whatever, and you can basically take that trigger, slap it onto this Springfield rimfire, and it'll do that. The problem basically came in is that when, so like actually it was Josh, Pursuit of Accuracy, who got that rifle first and like, wow, this thing like can't shoot. And I'm like, okay, that looks really, really interesting. And then like there's a couple of other channels, and we're like, yeah, I can't get like less than a 2-inch group at 50 yards. And that like really started getting a lot of alarm bells off because I mean, I've shot plenty of rimfires, even like my 1022s, that were able to get sub 2-inch groups at 50 yards. I mean, like it wasn't that difficult, especially with the variety of ammo. And that basically kind of got a question. Like, okay, so like who's actually right? Now, the one thing to realize with Springfield is when Springfield launches a product, they generally are not afraid to spend on marketing. And what I mean by that, a lot of the videos that they have come out, they pay influencers. And the issue is when there's money involved, it no longer becomes a review. It basically becomes sponsored content because when you accept a paycheck to do a video, generally, in most cases, the company for whom you're doing the video, the one that's paying you, they have the rights of first refusal, and you do the video. You're going to send it to them for approval. And that's why when you get a product, there's going to be like a media brief that basically tells you like what points you want to hit on. And it's almost like funny that like when you have like a certain couple of terms or paragraphs that are repeated verbatim by number of influencers, well, that's because it was probably in the media brief and that's it. You do have some companies that consistently pay people. And that's why you have like almost like glowing reviews in a lot of the product. And then you have other companies when we launch a product. So let's say, for example, like Ruger, when they send out media samples, they don't have checks attached to them. And that's like they don't tell you what to do. And that's where you generally get more honest reviews. So like the Springfield 2020 was kind of like one of those, okay, well, is it actually a good one or not? Because when you think about it, so going back to it, so the Springfield 2020 Rimfire, before that it was the Helion, before that it was, I'm sorry, it was the Prodigy, and then it was the Helion. So everybody swore, oh, the Prodigy is like $1,500. It's an awesome 2011. And then I played with a couple in the store. One of them wouldn't go into battery. Brand new gun. And there are massive issues there. So Springfield has that ability, and basically when there's money involved, it's like it all goes out the window. Now, does it mean that if there's no money involved that you're going to be unbiased? No, absolutely not. Because let's say, for example, and it is in the back of everyone's mind, there are certain companies out there that if they send you a product and let's say you're one of the launch people, well, actually, probably wouldn't even get that far. So let's put it this way. If you contact company A and like, hey, I saw you have this rifle. I would love to do a video on this. I'm this content creator, blah, 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 blah. Can you send it to me for testing? And generally, when you're a content creator, if you're reaching out to the company, they're going to send you the rifle or the firearm or the accessory on loan. And you generally have anywhere between 30 to 120 days, depending on the company, to do a video with it. And then when you're done with it, you can generally either just send it back to them, or they'll give you the option to buy it at a discount. And generally, the discounts could be anywhere between 30 to 50% off of MSRP, not street price. But here's the kicker. And when you're getting those firearms, it's almost like an interview. So if you ask a company for a video, for a product to do a video, and then you do a video and you're either just bashing the product or you're being untruthful, or let's say, for example, I mean, there were people, true stories, there are content creators out there who took guns. So SIGP 320 Fiasco, we requested for guns and then we modified them to make them not drop safe just for the videos. And they put those out there. So if you're inherently bad with a video, let's put it that way, the odds of you getting another product from that company are going to go down, and you're most certainly not going to be asked to do a launch for a product. There are a few exceptions. So the exceptions would be if you're a smaller company, even bad publicity is going to be is going to be good. So even like smaller companies, we can't afford to control the narrative by sending $40,000 or $50,000 checks. What they're going to do is just send out a whole bunch of product and just hope that somebody actually does a video on it, and that's it. So that definitely happens. So from a content creator's perspective, it kind of boils down to is if you're watching a video, and especially a launch video, it is either one, a paid for video that somebody got a 2-page media brief, And the products generally could be either cherry picked or they've gone over, or what some content creators do is like, hey, if I'm going to make a video for you, I need you to send me 2 or 3 guns. So just in case I'm working with one and there's issues with it, so I don't have to stop, we'll just start with the second one. And that is legit from some big YouTubers media kits, where we're talking it out like, yep, we need multiple copies of one. And then, so it's either 100% controlled, approved media, or it could be a launch video from somebody who is pre-selected to launch the product. And if there was no money attached, then basically that content creator knows that if they are at least not truthful, they're never getting anything to launch from this manufacturer ever again. And there are companies out there that really are like that. So typically it's going to be the smaller manufacturers, I would say. Well, it's more prevalent with the smaller manufacturers, where I had friends that they did not come out with a glowing review. They never got anything from them ever again. And then, so yes, I mean, there's definitely biases everywhere. The question is it less bias or 100% paid for propaganda in that regard? And unfortunately, a lot of the content creators, they didn't disclose it. So even though the FTC base explicitly states that if there is money exchanged, or even if you got product as part of it, you're supposed to disclose what the nature of the relationship was. And that's why in all of my videos, within the first 60 seconds, I listed right there on the pros, cons, my opinion, right in the bottom there. I list what the nature of the relationship was, and generally, when the product gets sent out, it gets sent out on loan. When it comes to optics and stuff, generally at this point, it's all for keeps, and it's expected. So, yeah. I just caught this comment. I'm gonna kind of go back through. Well, this explains why Such likes every gun he gets. Yeah. So I mean, like, my personal take on this whole topic is I truly, let's put it, so my personal take, and there was somebody else who kind of put out the same pledge. I will always disclose the nature of the relationship and whether I got paid for something or whether I got something for keeps or whatnot. And if it's so if I get a product and if it's truly crappy, I just don't do a video with it, because I truly believe that, so the gun industry itself is quite small. And let's put it this way, if a big anti-gunner like Michael Bloomberg or somebody wanted to shut the industry down, all it would take is a couple of $1 billion, and they can buy out the largest publicly traded, they can buy out the largest manufacturers in the industry. And people don't already realize how much of the gun industry is owned by liberals. But for those people, they're more in love with profits than they are with their ethics and morals. So that's why they're involved in the gun industry. But I digress. Wow, I lost my train of thought on this one. So yeah, so I disclosed the nature of the relationship on there. So if it's a truly bad product, I just won't do a video on it. However, if I am going to do a video on it, unless it's like a true paid for video, in which case it gets disclosed right there front and center, but I still don't give them I don't give them narrative control over that topic. But in any case, if I do have any issues, I tell them up front. I'm not going to hide the issues. However, I will give time for the company to respond. And basically then in the video, hey, I did have issues with this, and this is what we found out, whether it was an issue with me or whether it was a true issue with the gun or whatnot. So I guess the best example of that was a Taurus GX4. So when Taurus sent me that one, I was one of the people that launched it. The rear sights were halfway off the gun. I'm like, I emailed them. I'm like, Jacob, I'm like, you do know that these came this way. I texted him a picture. He's like, oh crap. And here's the difference between a good company and a bad company. A good company, they won't want you to hide the issues, because that's how they're going to grow. That's how they're going to overcome issues. And I got to give Taurus a lot of credit for this. So, for example, like I did a video like for Taurus G2C, whether there was an issue with the safety or was it a safety issue, and like people are like, that's like death to your channel because you're never getting anything from Taurus. I sent the video to Taurus, and they're like, wow, thanks for letting us know. And they did not have any issues whatsoever. I'm sure inside internally they're like, oh, it's like bad press, but they went ahead and they addressed those issues. They fixed those issues. And I, until they changed their marketing company, I was actually launching a lot of the new guns with them. So I'm like, it's great. I also know, for example, like with Ruger, if I do have an issue with it, it's like they basically know about it. They don't try to like. They're one of the companies that's like very, very. They're not going to tell you, oh, don't like we're not going to tell you, oh, can you change this video or this or that. I had videos where I published them and then like I would get an email like, hey, just FYI, you're like incorrect on this, or this is the way it operates. So last one was on the way that the safety operates on the Super Wrangler and the transfer bar. I got it wrong. And I get an email from them like, hey, just FYI, this is how it actually works. And I'm like, wow, that's awesome. And like, they weren't like douchebags or anything else about it. Like, they didn't demand to take the video down. Meanwhile, I have a couple of friends of mine who are like, some of the companies they dealt with, they were like completely went apeshit on them. Other companies would actually go and publicly make fun of some content creators, and that's just like completely ridiculous. I mean, that's definitely sophomoric behavior, and that's why some people just wouldn't do anything else with them. But yeah, no, so I mean, Such is a business guy. Yeah, you know, put it this way. So like my personal take on it, like I truly, for me, it's about identifying who is the product ideal for and kind of presenting the facts in that way, rather than saying, wow, this thing is great and everything is great, because it's truly not about that. But even to take a gun like a High Point, there's a market for people for whom that High Point is going to be their ideal gun. So the goal, kind of like with my videos, is to find that and to kind of find that goal. And it's like, I mean, those are my ethics, those are my morals, that's kind of stick with. And like, fortunately, I haven't actually run personally into companies who were like irritated or pissed off that I was truthful on something. But basically, anybody, I mean, here's the thing, like, if you're a content creator, like, let's say more than 5,000 videos or something like that, as long as the marketing company or somebody there knows, if they're approaching you, they've already watched your videos. And for the most part, the vast majority of the companies, they just want you to be fair. And if there are issues, to give them the opportunity to respond. That's all. But yes, there are companies out there who they will basically like, well, we sent you this gun or we sent you this optic. How can you say it's bad or this or that? I'm like, well, okay, well, it doesn't actually change it. And this is actually why, particularly in the optics industry, so like why Ilya, Dark Lord of Optics, he does not cover a lot of the optics, because there's some that truly hate him for it. So yeah, that's fun. So the Springfield 2020. So I did get it, and like I went out, I bought it. I did try to reach out to Springfield and ask them, hey, can you send me a media sample of this, because it looks like a really interesting gun. We have 3 Ruger Precision Rimfire. We have 3 Ruger 22s that we're working on very, very soon, and this would actually be really, really cool. Plus the fact that we're kind of heading into a economic downturn, I'm like, okay, well, this is actually going to be a really good opportunity to get people a gun that's going to be fun to shoot, that's still going to be economical, and it looks like it checks off most of the boxes. Tried multiple times. They didn't respond to any of my emails. I texted the guy, no response. I'm like, okay, screw it. Let me go buy it. So I went out to my local FFL. They hooked me up with a really good deal, and bought the gun, played with it. Immediately noticed some QC issues, but the biggest thing that I noticed, and especially when looking at the videos, is despite it being a Springfield 2020, it's actually a Turkish gun. So the barrel and the receiver, the gun is made in Turkey. It is made by Rite Firearms, and Rite is a Turkish company that generally makes shotguns. So they went out and they got them to make it for them. It is made in Turkey. I'm assuming most of it is going to be made in Turkey. They haven't actually kind of like given a breakdown of this or that, but the barrel is 100% made in Turkey, and I'm assuming the rest of the gun is as well. What I will say is the box and the case that it came with is actually pretty cool. So it didn't surprise me. What it was kind of like, I guess what was not really tasteful is the gun is made in Turkey, but on the bottom of the trigger guard, Springfield puts the American flag on it. I'm like, there's nothing American about the gun besides Springfield being the importer and slapping their name on it. But I digress. So I went out to the range. I mounted a scope on it. And in order for people not to give crap over it, I mounted a $1,500 scope on a $400 rifle. So I mounted the Tract Toric, the new 4-25 on it. Really clear glass, fantastic scope. And we shot groups with it. So sighted it in. I took out at that point 3 different types of ammo that from the past have generally worked fairly well with other rimfire. So I took CCI standard velocity, CCI mini-mag targets, and I had like $10 or $15 a box Ely match rimfire ammo. And started shooting, and the first one that I took out and shot was the CCI standard velocity. And lo and behold, like the first 2 groups that I put out of that gun, 5-shot groups, they were basically 1-inch groups. I didn't measure them, but they basically, that's what it looked like. And I'm like, okay, so all these people are wrong. Like, okay, what the heck? I mean, like, it's only going to get better from this because like with the cheapest ammo, it shot really well. I put in CCI mini mags. It was like 3-inch groups at 50 yards. I'm like, it can't be. Let me try it again. Yep, same thing. Now I'm like, okay, maybe it's just bad box or what. Okay, like, so this will definitely work. So I took the Ely match and actually have it right here. It was this stuff. 40 grain, 10,000, 1,064 feet per second, I believe. And I'm like, okay, well, this stuff is really going to shoot well. So like Ely match ammo, it's going to be really fantastic. Same thing, shot 5-shot groups. One of them was completely off the paper. So we had, with the Ely match, I think the best was like 1.5 or like 2-inch groups at 50 yards, 5-shot groups. And then the second one was a little bit more. And like what's interesting is like it would put like 2 together and then 3 on the opposite side. And I was like, crap. I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's me. Now, granted, I was shooting this off of a tripod. I was just basically putting the rounds through. So I went ahead and shot the exact same ammo out of the exact same boxes that were still there out of a brand new Ruger Precision Rimfire. The groups were half the size. So literally the groups were half the size. Pretty much everything was 1 MOA with the exception of the CCI mini mags, which what was interesting is like the groups were definitely, they were bigger, but like literally the groups are about half the size out of the Ruger Precision Rimfire than they were out of the Springfield. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's possibly a lot of the guns, they'll have issues with like, let's say, bad crowns. So I put on a suppressor. I'm like, okay, well, maybe basically by putting on a suppressor, it's going to add a little bit. It's going to change the dynamics a little bit, but possibly it might help. And it does help with some of the guns. So by putting the can on, it made absolutely 0 difference. And we did this with both the Ruger Precision Rimfire and the Springfield Armory gun. So shot 3 types of ammo, and the best out of the Springfield was actually the CCI standard velocity. So I know Josh, he tested, so he primarily tested all like match grade ammo such as this, and like he barely got it to squeak in under the warrant, under the accuracy guarantee, which was literally just a 3-shot 2 MOA group at 50 yards, which is barely doable. I mean, it was doable with the CCI standard velocity, definitely not the mini mags. The one thing I'll basically say about the mini mags is when I put the suppressor on, is that it was very much easy to tell. So even though the mini mags are supposed to be about 1,200 feet per second, there were definitely shots that were subsonic, and you can easily hear that when you put a can on, whether it's a true subsonic round where it's a staple gun, or it sounds like a staple gun, or whether it is supersonic and you do hear a little bit of a crack. So there might possibly be something off in the batches of the mini mags, but for the full review, I will actually go shoot it off of a bipod or off of a bipod in a bag, just to kind of get it really, really, really locked in. But 2 brand new guns out of the box. The Ruger Precision Rimfire just basically shots light out. I mean, there's a lot to like about the Springfield 2020, but it's like you feel really good holding the gun, but like you can try to pull the trigger and it feels like you have zero control over where those bullets end up. Versus like with the Ruger Precision Rimfire, it's like you pulling the trigger, like you can eat, like you feel it, you know it. It's like it was very, very much predictable. So that was that fun stuff. I'm wondering, so because the action is not bad, I'm wondering if somebody can just basically re-barrel those guns, or what's up with it. But I'm definitely really tempted with it. Steven, I see that you're on, and I'll bring you on in a second, bud. Yeah, so that's fun stuff. I do have other match grade ammo that we are going to try with the Springfield 2020. I will edit the video kind of like the first shots with both, and I did use the SideShot Scope Cam with it, so you can kind of see through the scope footage on that one. And then I did have a second camera set up at the target, so it'll be interesting. Like I said, I was really hoping the gun kind of is okay, because I think it would be a pretty good value, but it's like when a $100 Savage shoots a little bit better, it's like it's a little bit disconcerting. And then, so yeah, we do have 3 other Rugers that we're going to be using there. So price wise, so like the Ruger Precision Rimfire is going to be about like 450 to 500, and the Springfield 2020 is right around 400 to 450. So for just a little bit more money, I would just say, hey, just get the Ruger Precision Rimfire, because at least it's like a modular chassis. I think I mean, you still have, well, obviously you're going to have a bunch more aftermarket triggers available for the Remington 700 than you are with the Ruger Precision Rimfire. But it is going to have an adjustable length of pull, adjustable comb height, versus the Springfield is not. So, yeah. Okay. Oh, great question. So I totally forgot that one. I didn't put it in the video. Yes. So the biggest issue with it, and like this is the peculiar one, the Springfield comes with its own magazine. It did not have issues with Ruger 10 round magazines, but I could not chamber 3 different Ruger BX15 and BX25 magazines. They would not seat in all the way. So it's something either with the mag catch or whatnot, but they would not seat in. I didn't have any extraction issues. I didn't have any feed. I might have a feeding issue in the very first shot. But I didn't have like any issues in that regard. But there are definitely issues with those. All right, so that's that one. And then the other one is my CZ600 is going back. So I have the 600 CZ600 Alpha, which I bought when it launched, and that's when they had the recall, and I'm like, okay, well, it's not worth the price. I did 3 or 4 videos on it, so like for that $795, $800 price point, I didn't think it was worth it, especially since you couldn't do any barrel swaps. So I finally decided to sell it back to them. And then I'm gonna buy that gun back because now you can get it for as low as 420 bucks or less. So CZ is like so horrendous with marketing it. They are now, so you can buy it on Grab a Gun for under 500, and there's $100 mail-in rebate on those guns now. So even though they're neutered for 400 bucks, the gun actually shoots lights out. Sub MOA, sub half MOA. Very nice controlled round feed action. It's really nice. I mean, there's no aftermarket for it or anything else like that in CZ. But for the price point, I think we're really nailing it out of the head on that right now. Yes. All right, we're kind of going to go back for, and what else was on my list? Hi-Lux 5 to 25 PRS. I put that on the scope on one of the guns on the Ruger Precision Rimfire. Really liked it. So we didn't have any issues with those. The SideShot Scope Cam is really cool. I did a YouTube short on that. And actually, I'm going to bring Steven on if he's ready. Gave me a thumbs up. Cool. We're going to bring him on, and then I'll go back through some of these questions. And I realized I got to get my headphones. So, Steven, hello, my friend.
Howdy. How's it going?
So,
oh, he's got to get his headphones on.
I got to get my headphones on. So, yeah. Steven is one of yes. That parallax is, oh my freaking god, so stiff. The image quality is nice. I like all of that stuff, but it was like horrendous. I got to talk to Chris and see what their plans are on that.
Isn't there problems with that scope, or
there were some issues potentially with the turrets, but I believe they fixed those. Although mine is serial number 1001. So let's see. Whoa, I can hear myself. Okay. Now you had the video on the CZ600 as well, correct?
No, 457.
Okay. We did a SHOT Show video on the CZ400.
600. I'm mixing y'all up.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
On the it's like the wooden stock one, the one that's got the wooden stock and the wooden bolt handle. Yeah,
Deluxe. Okay.
Yeah, I did a SHOT Show video on it. I don't know if it's still on the channel. I might have unlisted it, but and then I did one on the one of their new pistols. So yeah, but the only one I've ever owned is the 457. 457 varmint chassis.
All right. So Aaron brings up this point. The main problem with testing a rimfire is that you need at least 1,000 rounds down the barrel before the groups tighten at all. So, and this is actually kind of like one of those topics that people like yes and no. So some people basically say the gun will, it's not a center fire where it's gonna break in. That generally we're just gonna shoot from the start, and pretty much I had a whole bunch of rimfires where they just shot lights out from day one, including my Gucci Azimuth AZTP 1022.
Yeah, my Savage for 160 bucks shot sub MOA the first range trip at 100 yards with factory with CCI standard, which surprised me, but it's been a great gun.
But I will actually put through that many rounds for that gun. So now that all my girls' birthdays are done, our big 4th of July party is done, all of that stuff is done, I can actually I have 2 months before the weather turns really crappy, and we're going to get all these videos, all this testing and everything out there. So it'll be good. So Aaron, it is thick, but it's not as thick as the Ruger Precision Rimfire. I don't recall exactly which one. And hey, look who it is. It's our Canadian friend who is not joining us. Alex, what the heck?
Yeah, he likes to show up late like a superstar.
He does.
I heard that Ruger Precisions are hit and miss though on the Rimfire. Is that true?
I heard that as well.
I think I like how your answer.
No, so actually, I believe Aaron that we were talking about this, but there are people who say the Ruger Precision Rimfires, a lot of them, they did have some issues in the past. I don't know if it's current or not, but I mean, basically mine shoots lights out. Well, so far. And what I will say is I do have. So besides the Ruger Precision Rimfire, the one I really wanted to try is the Ruger Precision Rimfire Long Range Target, which is the longer, heavier barrel. It looks like the mini Hawkeye long range target, so it has the same type of stock.
Mm-hmm.
It looks
it's almost
really,
like
really
an HMR, like an HMR style stock, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to get one of those, the Centerfire version, like years ago. For like an entire year, I thought about it, and I still never got one.
Okay, so here is his answer on the Ruger Rimfires. You need to find the correct torque for your rifle. They're all different. I guess that's where we have it. Nice. Okay, so what other topics did I have? All right. Well, here, we brought you on. What are you working on your channel?
Well, it's been crazy. I raced out the door, ate in about 3 minutes, raced out the door, and the sun was setting too fast for me to check. But maybe I shouldn't say this. We have some steel targets on like BLM land, which technically you shouldn't leave them out there. But I'm going to be honest, and we did. And I'm pretty sure the guy who leases it for his cattle, which it's not illegal to hunt out there or shoot out there with cattle. Like you just have to be careful. You can't shoot within, I think it's like 200 yards cattle. Anyway, they might be gone, which really hurts because we spent like 2 days making them and a lot of like physical labor getting them out there. And like, it kind of sucks because I was going to shoot 1,400 yards all morning tomorrow morning. And it's been like 2 years in the works, finally getting around to it. And maybe they're out there, but kind of looks dismal at this point. It was hard to tell. It was getting dark quick, but we'll find out tomorrow morning. So yeah, basically this week I was going to work on some ELR shooting, editing a bunch of videos, primarily rifle review videos. So filming some studio footage and then editing, trying to edit 2 or 3 rifle review videos. We are going to be, I think the next ones we editing are like the, I think Savage Axis, a whole bunch like the CVA,
Cascade.
The CVA Center, yeah, Cascade. It's the Cascade XT, I believe, is the one I have.
The new one. The new one.
And
okay.
And then the AB3.
Oh, that's the cheap Browning.
Winchester, Winchester XPR. Anyways, I got about 40 rifle comparisons that need to be edited. And then I am also filming and editing a bunch of individual rifle reviews. The individual rifle reviews hopefully be slowly coming out over the next 6 months. And they'll be mostly on like sub $1,000 rifles and budget rifles. And then the comparisons that'll be coming out recently will be like $1,000 and above mostly. And then after that, we'll be working into budget rifle comparisons again, like a new takes on those. But along with hopefully some ELR shorts and some ELR full length videos, just recreational. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, got all kinds of irons in the fire though. It's hard for me to even keep track.
So, Aaron, not everybody can buy a Voodoo. Along the same lines, if anybody is a video editor here, by the way, Steven, Mr. Bullets for Bucks, is looking for an editor himself. And Aaron, I'm surprised you don't know him. So that's Steven Bullets for Bucks. And the reason why you don't know that is because Steven insists on Um,
I don't always do that, just when it's you, mostly.
that is why he does that, and that is why we don't have name tags on the bottom of it. So
I love doing it just mainly for you. That's like, make sure to do it when I'm going to be on your live stream. Oh, I did. I don't know if I should say this because it sounds like I'm tooting my own horn. Maybe I am, but
you're good.
I got a notification in email literally like 15 minutes ago that I didn't expect this quick. Can you guess what it is?
Your copyright strikes. Oh, your
No.
plaque is coming. Your plaque is coming. Your silver play
They give
button is coming.
so I didn't know how. I heard you have to like dig, like it takes months after to even be able to, and then I heard you have to like go to a website, figure it out yourself. Apparently that's not true. I got a notification and a special like individualized code, and it's free, and you just use the code. It takes like 2 seconds. So we'll see. It might take 6 months to get it, but I didn't expect to have them have their stuff together that quickly. That's for sure.
And for those missing, so Mr. Bullets for Bucks, his channel really catapulted. He just crossed 100,000 subscribers on his channel, thanks to his YouTube Shorts, viral YouTube Shorts. And now, did they let you put any name on that plaque? Did you put best gun tuber ever, or is it actually going to be just Bullets for Bucks?
I went super lame, like super lame, because I just filled it out as I was logging on to here, literally on my cell phone, and I literally just said Bullets for Bucks. But you can, just so you know, you can do up to 50 characters. And so I probably should have done something cool, but I didn't. So yeah. I should have done that quote by Franklin. Was it Franklin or Teddy? The Man in the Arena quote, and seeing how much I could fit that in maybe like a shortened version. I love that quote. That's my favorite quote of all time.
You know what your play button should say? No, what you really should have said? I love bear balls.
I knew you were going to say that the minute you started that sentence. Like I knew you were going to say that, but yeah, no, I went super boring and I just rushed it. And then now it's like done. Like they have like 3 different boxes that are like, are you sure? Are you sure? And I was just like, yes. Hopefully I spelled Bullets for Buck. Watch it be BULLST, because I do that all the time. I accidentally hit the T and the S backwards, just rushing. Watch that. That'd be hilarious.
And then what you can, well, you can get a fake button, but here's Dave's plan. What you should do is get a play button, take it to Alaska, and shoot at it.
Yeah, lots of people shoot them. I think
like
you can. Okay. Yeah, tons of people shoot them.
There goes my idea.
It's very common. I think that you can actually buy more. You cannot. You only get one for free, and then after that you have to buy them. I'm pretty sure you can buy a replacement, like a legit.
So that's how they do it. Okay.
But
because basically the question I had was, so like you go to some channels and they're like they have channel managers, and the managers have like multiple play buttons for all of their channels that they manage. So does it mean that they took it from the creators that they're helping?
Now maybe they're just buying fake. I don't know.
Yeah. Steven, did you ever meet Aaron from Anarchy Outdoors or no?
I think that I feel like we spoke maybe on a live stream like 3 years ago.
Okay.
Like a long time ago, maybe. Like has he ever been on live streams?
Yes.
Because I feel like we did, like this was when I first met you. I don't think so. I think, well, maybe. I don't know. I'm terrible. You know, I can't remember anything. But I think that when I first met you, there was a live stream with a bunch of people, and I swear he was on it. But that was a long time ago.
Yes. Aaron, I'll get you Steven's contact information.
Yeah.
I think he wants to hook
Anarchy Outdoors, I'm going to sound like an idiot, but they do a lot of accessories, right?
Yes. Precision rifle, muzzle loading, bunch of stuff for the guns that you do as well.
Okay.
Cool.
I don't know if it was the.
Remember that we did that like 8 hour
It might have been. I think I got on there for like an hour. Maybe that's when it was. I didn't stay on there that long, but maybe that's when it was. Yeah.
There you go.
I've been.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I mean, like I've checked out the website that they have,
Okay.
but
So here's a question for you. Now, I know you're doing a bunch of stuff with Howa. Are you
hmm.
getting anything with Howa with 6 arc? So I know Howa is like one of these companies that they love jumping on new calibers, but then they're not going to release those guns. Well, actually, hold on. It's new calibers and new guns. They're going to put them in their catalog. We're going to highlight them, and then they're not going to be released for like a year. So the ones I was really looking forward to. So Howa was supposed to jump on the 6 arc bandwagon, and they released some barreled actions, but the guns were like almost never there. And the reason kind of bring that up is so I was going back through and refilming my Savage 110 Switchback, the Sportsman's Warehouse exclusive in 6 arc. And I'm like, well, like naturally by now we have more companies that are launching these guns. And Howa was supposed to be one of those, and they have not.
You're saying how it hasn't released a 6 arc?
They have, well, they've released them, but I haven't actually seen them at distributors or dealers.
I've seen the barreled actions, and I'm double checking right now, are in fact on
Brownells, they
Brownells.
are there. Yeah.
And I have seen, I think, a rifle online, but I have not seen any in stores. Physically, I've not seen any stores. Now when it first came out, there was talk about them sending me one, and then the ball dropped on their end, and I kind of dropped. I didn't care. It wasn't a huge one on my radar, like enough for me to pursue it after they, it just never went anywhere.
And speaking, sorry. And while I remember, and while speaking of stuff that was released but then never came, Aaron, where are the Trigger Tech triggers for the Ruger Precision Rifle?
Somebody said Timney.
So GTM, our Minnesotan, gun-toting Minnesotan, he was asking if he was carrying, if Anarchy Outdoor carried Ruger Magnum Precision Rifle triggers. And yes, he does. So he has Timney. And then, so Jard is the other one that makes them. And then Trigger Tech was supposed to come out with Ruger Precision Rifle triggers.
Dude,
Aaron, do you want to join and discuss?
Do they carry regular RPR triggers?
Do they carry
non-Magnum RPR aftermarket triggers?
Yeah, Timney.
I need one of those. I've never swapped out my original.
Aaron, I'm going to text you the invite to this.
I got to contact Trigger Tech too, because I have a Remington 700 I'm doing videos on. I really need to replace that trigger. And I had a 2-stage Calvin Elite Timney that's since been lost. It got buried in a bin. I cannot find it to save my life. So I need to get a Remington 700 trigger badly, because that trigger is unbelievably horrible. It's like oh my gosh, dude, it's so bad. I adjusted it and it did not adjust. And it's like it's bad. I got to replace it because I put it into a Graybow stock. And so now it's like it's upgraded, but the trigger is still terrible. So basically I swapped that trigger and should be good. Like I got it swapped out with a real bottom metal, nice stock. It shoots decent actually. So just got to swap out that trigger. And then it'll be a good shooter. Am I enjoying the growth of my channel, or is it a bit stressful? It's not stressful at all. I have so much other stress in my life that is like not even on the radar, but I am enjoying it. It feels good. Unfortunately, and I'll be honest and transparent, it's not led so far to really any financial changes or gains. But I think it will. It's just it's gonna lag a little bit. I need long form views. So if you like long form, watch my long form videos. I need long form views, and I need to get sponsorships and paid for stuff. And so it could help with all of that in the future. But it's kind of lagging in that area. But I do appreciate the support and the viewers and my audience.
Yeah,
thanks, guys.
And I think the one thing that people don't realize is that I think like for anybody who's kind of trying to get into the game, I mean, like it's become a lot easier. And like you have like these massive YouTube channels now with hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and they don't have one long form video out there. It's all like YouTube shorts that become viral. And almost like with that, it's like as long as you can keep someone's attention for like 60 seconds or so, they'll give you millions of views because YouTube is trying to compete with TikTok. And with the way that the statistics are, whether it's somebody who subscribed to you for long form content or podcasts or live streams or YouTube shorts, they're still counted as subs, but it's not the same value per se. But what I will say is, I mean, there are a lot of companies out there who truly just look at the okay, hold on. I have to send it. Aaron is asking for the invite. Let me just.
I think so. And me and you differ a little bit on our opinions, or at least we did a lot more at the beginning of the year, maybe. But like
About
so
shorts?
about all that. But I think that like so shorts are basically 3 cents per 1,000 views, guys that are watching, and long form for me is about $4.57 per 1,000 views. Maybe it fluctuates around 5 sometimes. So you like obviously shorts have way less monetary value. The value in shorts, in my opinion, is like entertainment, brand awareness, maybe product awareness, but not like information and not necessarily like education. And that's where they're weak. Whereas long form, it's good at education, good at giving value and detail for somebody looking to purchase something. That's really, really about ready to purchase it. And of course, the RPM, or the amount of money you make, is way higher. But they both have value. It's just different value. And a small amount of shorts viewers do watch long form now. And because YouTube has worked on bridging this gap in their algorithm and everything, where people were just watching shorts and then they were never seeing your long form and stuff. And so they're trying to bridge that gap, which is fantastic. But it is a very small percentage of your shorts viewers will watch your long form.
Yeah.
The good thing is that it's the younger generation mostly watching the shorts. And so it is kind of pulling them in, at least, to guns and hunting, so to speak, and getting your content to them where they might not otherwise see it. But
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
good.
I was gonna say, like on shorts, I get a lot more anti-gun comments. So like when I did that short on the Liberty Safe fiasco, there's all of these people who were served that video, and they were not pro-gun people. They just got served that video. It's like, well, it's like if you don't want your safe broken into, then don't do anything illegal. I'm like, you're missing the whole point in privacy and all of that stuff. So I'm sure a lot of your videos the same thing. Like even like there are some gun shorts that I did. People are like, oh, you don't need that gun, or like gun owners are criminals, stuff like that. So it's definitely different. But also, like when you're thinking about it from the perspective of monetization and marketing, a long form view is still significantly more meaningful than a short, especially now that YouTube killed the ability to put links in your shorts. So they got rid of the description there where you can place your links. I'm not sure if you noticed that or not.
No, yeah. They made it so you can't do links and comments on shorts. You can't do links and the descriptions of shorts. Yep. And I think they're going to make it to where you can't do pinned comments or links in long form soon as well. But yeah, I feel like YouTube really is shooting themselves in the foot though on some of that. But that's another conversation. And that's not just in the gun industry. That's like in every industry. There's a lot of people that are upset about what they're doing. But because a lot of people link or pin comments to other YouTube videos, that they have. So it's not taking them off the platform. In fact, it's actually keeping people on the platform and helping people. I did a short right after they removed linkable comments, like right after.
Mm-hmm.
And I have at least 20 comments asking for the link. And I can
Well,
put it, like I can type it out, but I can't, it doesn't work. Like people don't get it. And I'm like, so the value I could add has now been removed. And I think that's not the good long play from YouTube for YouTube. But
it's going to keep a whole bunch of people on the platform because they want people consuming shorts instead of going to other videos. And I think there's too many people who were monetizing that, and they're going to have their own monetization strategy that's coming.
They want
down
you to do
that.
shopping. They want you to do shopping. YouTube
There's
shopping.
There's YouTube shopping, and
But
there's other stuff coming out in that regard. But let's put it this way: if YouTube was against that, they wouldn't let you put 5 external links in your description page either. Aaron, I can't see your camera, so just type in the private chat. If you're ready, I'll bring you on. I'm not sure if you're trying to figure that out or what.
They should have just made it to where only the YouTube channel owner could put links, and that would have cut out a lot of spam. From because there was a lot of people putting links that were spam that weren't. But if they just made it, you're the only person who can do that on your channel.
But they don't. They don't.
The right decision.
They don't want you to take people off the platform.
Viewers off, but people link to their own videos and other YouTube videos.
But there's other ways you can do that. But you can do it the other way. You include them as you embed it into the video, because if you just put it in the comment or as a pinned comment, that there's no way to track that for metrics or anything else like that.
Yeah, I don't agree with it. You won't change my mind on it.
You're one of those.
No, I mean, like, I don't agree with it from a YouTube standpoint, and I definitely don't agree with it from a creator standpoint. Like, you're taking the ability for us to monetize away, and you're devaluing their creators by doing, like, disrespecting their creators in a sense.
I just had we'll talk about this offline. I just had a conversation about this with a YouTube person in charge of shorts when I was in New York City for the B&H conference. They're speaking about creator stuff. All right, we're going to bring Aaron on, and we're going to talk about this question. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Not too bad. All right, so first, do you think that long-range content is losing appeal, growing appeal, or same appeal as it was 3 years ago? And I guess the reason I want to ask you is because, well, your company focuses on creating accessories for the long-range market. I know you're heavily involved with competitions, matches. So personally, I think it's blowing up, but what's your take on it?
I think the market is continuing to expand in a great direction. It's continuing to grow. I think long range content or the long range growth of shooters is probably more shifting towards rimfire, like rimfire and long range rimfire. Just with inflation and the state of our economy, and manufacturing's never caught back up from COVID on primers and powder and projectiles. The long-range centerfire game is really difficult right now. Unless you're a sponsored shooter getting, backdoor deals with primers and powder, you just can't keep up. Can't keep up, and it's expensive. But that being said, the rimfire game is on fire. So, I mean, that's kind of my thoughts. And the long-range content, I think it ebbs and flows. We definitely, when Ruger released the Ruger Precision Rifle, kind of kicked off. It's been 8 years. 8 years of just insane growth in this industry. So what we might be seeing is more of a plateau now that it's starting to saturate, right? Versus that. But I was just looking at his channel. It's Steve, right?
Yeah, Steven.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm just looking at Steven's channel and Backfire's channel, and there's still a lot of great movement around comparing the different factory rifles and the different price points, and especially to the hunters. There's a lot of uneducated hunters, so I would always support anyone supporting content to educate the hunting crowd, especially, right? Because there's a lot of misconceptions and a lot to learn in that community. So
there you go. All right. So GTM, hopefully that gives you, Andrew, hopefully that gives you a little bit of info on that. And obviously we can have this conversation in our creator group on Discord. So, question for you. Where the heck is the Trigger Tech trigger?
I don't know if we just give up on that or what we do, but they were supposed to release in September. We emailed Mark. By the way, Steven, if you need a contact at Trigger Tech, just let me know. I'll send you a direct email to Mark, and Mark's the one that hands out triggers to creators and things. I know him personally, done a lot of business with him over the last few years, and he's probably annoyed that we asked where the freak are the Ruger Precision triggers. But all I got back from him was they're delayed again. So I have no idea when they're coming. I know they have a huge emphasis on their clock trigger and some of their OEM stuff, and they're trying to scale production. They've had some issues with scaling the production of the RPR trigger. I'm not sure why. Probably because they're trying to make it compatible with all the other triggers without doing what Timney did to make them compatible. But
here's the question:
the fire control mechanism.
But here's the question, though. So, I mean, for example, like Jard can make a trigger fairly quickly. You have Timney, who's made a trigger for them. I mean, obviously, so I mean, Timney, they got caught a little bit because when they came out with the trigger, it was just one generation, and then they basically came out with the intermediate, which is the 6.5 PRC, and then the Magnums, and they had to redesign the trigger. But Trigger Tech, so Ruger goes to them, approaches them. They create a trigger for the custom shop Ruger Precision rifle. It's a pretty damn nice trigger. So they had the blueprints and everything. I mean, then they came out with the prototypes that we played with. And then, like, it shouldn't take a year to come out with production. I mean, I realized that, like, they goofed up by, and you pointed out to them when their trigger was only compatible with the short actions.
Well, not only that, but the custom shop trigger is not backwards compatible with all of the pre-April 21 rifles. It's not compatible. That's when they changed the fire control mechanism to mimic the Magnum fire control mechanism.
Okay.
And it's not compatible. So, and as we learned this week, the post 21 normal Ruger has a different shape firing pin than the custom shop. So they do all these little sneaky things and don't tell anybody ever.
But here's the thing, though. I mean, like, so, but the Timney trigger, it doesn't have those compatibility issues anymore now,
it's
right?
Because they cut that J slot in the back, and you have to actually remove the little plunger off the back of the factory trigger, and that's the reason why. But I think if Trigger Tech did that, it messes up the internals of the trigger.
Okay.
Because that's dead space in the Timney trigger, but I don't know if it's dead space in the Trigger Tech. And I have some of those original Timneys. I'll have to go look in the closet here in a second, but I have them where it's billeted and it's a raw aluminum cut, and they had to fix that trigger. So
I see you guys are out of Utah, right? Anarchy?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Were you at Western Hunt Expo?
I didn't go this year, but I do typically go. I did not go this year, but I do typically go to it.
This year was the first year I went to it.
I know my business partners were. My business partner, I don't hunt as much as my business partners do. They live for it, and they go every year, but I didn't go this year.
Okay. And you guys are fairly close. So Anarchy Outdoors is in like northern part of
where are you at, Steven?
I'm in Sheridan, Wyoming.
Okay.
So north central Wyoming, right by Montana's border. Then I lived in Rawlins, Riverton, and Sheridan. Well, technically now I live in Manchester, but yeah.
Okay. So there's that. So I'm just getting like a bunch of emails popping up. More and more emails. So, Steven, you don't have the 2020 Rimfire. Aaron, have you played with that, or have you seen those in your NRL 22 and PRS 22 circles yet? And are you planning on doing any updates?
You'll ever see it in those circles.
Okay, go ahead.
I think the Savage Mark II is a better rifle. Honestly, and you see plenty of Savages, especially in base class. You see the Savage, you see the CZ 457, you see the Tika in its base configuration. But I think Springfield swung for the fence and missed it by a mile.
Yeah,
we can get into that on a different.
Well, so how else? How else? So I mean, it looked like when you talk to a bunch of people, they're like, okay, I do wish it had M-Lock on the bottom. It doesn't have any of that. Actually, it doesn't. I don't. No, it does not. But it's basically the barrel. It's the gun can't shoot, being a big issue.
Yeah, I'll have to go see if I can find one and play with it.
Well,
my neighbor finally gave me permission to shoot on his property, so I can shoot 3 minutes from my house. So
there you go.
We might pump out more content now.
And then another thing was, so there's no recoil lug or anything. It just literally the action secures to the stock with just 2 screws, and that's it.
So there's no. Did they at least make the receiver like a Ruger receiver, or is it proprietary so that it doesn't fit in any aftermarket stocks?
I believe it is a proprietary one. It's not. It takes 700 triggers, but it's not a 700 footprint.
Yeah, I saw on the spec sheet it said it has a trigger hanger mechanism on it.
Yeah, so it takes Remington 700 triggers, which was so Josh, pursuit of accuracy. He put a very high end scope on it. Then he put it in a Trigger Tech trigger. Actually, no, it was Timney Hit, I think, and it still couldn't shoot. He put a barrel tuner on there too. So he even tried it with the barrel tuner, and he just could not get good accuracy out of it.
How's the bolt go? Sorry, how does the bolt go together? Can you play with the headspace on it?
I have not looked that deeply. I don't believe so.
Steven, you have a 457, right?
Yeah.
Do you ever play with the headspace on the 457?
I have not.
So
I've actually had very little time with it.
Okay.
I got it last year, shot a couple videos on it, and then on to the next project, so to speak. And I set it up for NRLX, but I haven't actually used it for anything. So one of these days, and the trigger on it, was the only thing I was very underimpressed with. I thought it would be a lot better. It had some creep, and I got to adjust it. I got to spend some time tweaking it, and maybe I'll get it to where I like it. But out of the box, I wasn't happy with the trigger. I'll say that much. Everything else about it was all right, but my Savage that cost me $160 brand new, like 4 years ago, shot better than it out of the box. So
I've been beat by a Savage before.
I think that the gun is a lot better in every other. Like, it's more durable. See, it seems more durable. It's more ergonomic, but the Savage shoots. And I haven't put enough time into the CZ to be like, oh yeah, it's not good. I think it's a good gun. I just have to mess with it.
My CZ is really interesting. I was able to get an action before they stopped importing them. So the Czechoslovakian government actually said, no more. You have to import full guns. You just can't do the receiver.
Really?
So my CZ has a Bartlett barrel on it, and I've shot it for 4 years. And a year and a half ago, it stopped grouping. I've done everything, different ammo types, headspace, cleaned the barrel, and I can't get that thing to shoot under like 2 MOA at 50 yards anymore.
Wow.
So I replaced it.
You were saying that you can adjust the headspace on a CZ 457. Is that what you were trying to tell me?
Yeah, right in front of the bolt handle, there's a company. I'd have to go remember what it is. They sell a shim kit. Just little tiny shims. And so my CZ, when I lock it down, it's a lot stiffer than most people's. But it improved. I mean, I closed my groups from like this back to like this, but I'm still not impressed with it. So That barrel, I'm waiting for an IBI barrel to come in so I can test a new barrel, and then that barrel's going to end up going to Bartlett to see what's wrong with it.
Now, what's the barrel life on a Rimfire barrel?
40,000 rounds. Like,
Okay,
there's not really a barrel life on them.
it shouldn't happen unless you actually damage the barrel itself.
Pretty much.
Okay. So speaking of CZs, have you had any requests to do accessories for the 600 yet, or no? Or like what's a CZ 600?
No, we talked about it.
Yes.
I think last time I was on your live is when the 600 came out.
Yep.
So, no, I haven't had any chance, or I don't know, haven't had any requests for it. So, we've been working on. We've had a couple 457 requests come in. We've had a couple Tika requests come in, and we've been redesigning our Bagara B14R and Tika handles.
Okay.
Because there's a design flaw definitely in the Bagara handle. So we are working on correcting that, and hopefully within the next 2 weeks we'll have a new handle out to see if Team Bagara can break it. So,
do you have a physical storefront? I can't remember if you did or not.
We have a little tiny showroom, but yeah, we let people walk into our shop. We don't encourage it, but you can knock on the door and we'll let you in. 99% of our sales are online, but that being said, we have, a half a dozen people coming every day. Not a lot of our local community they're starting to hear about us, and they're like, oh, hey, look at this Anarchy couple. We have customers though that get their package and they'll be like, hey, I want to change the color or something, and they'll be like, what? That's like right next to me. So we kind of fly under the radar when it comes to that, but we have a little tiny storefront. If you get on our Google profile, you'll see that we've got some pictures of it, but it's like 10 by 10. So.
And you can actually see it. You can see it in the videos that I did with Aaron. Actually, I think in one of the videos it was there, but the rest of it, most of the videos that we did, when I came to Utah, they were in the back in the in the warehouse space. And also, I gotta tell, like
the first one in the front.
Yes, I gotta tell, like those videos, like completely crazy in terms of tens of thousands of views that they got. I'm just like still continually amazed.
Come back out. We can do another one.
So actually,
range day. We'll go. I have a range just north of us, 20 minutes. That built a really nice facility, and we've got video rights to it whenever. So come back out. We'll
actually, now, is it usable in January or no?
Oh yeah, he's got heaters built above it and everything.
So the reason why I bring that up is this coming January for SHOT Show, there's a conference in between. So there's a conference the week before SHOT Show that I need to be there for. So I'm like, do I want to fly home, or can we hit up the companies in the area and put together a content creator day possibly for you there? So I think we need to discuss that to do, let's say, for example, since you're going to have a bunch of YouTubers already coming out to SHOT Show a few days before SHOT Show, to do an event with Anarchy Outdoors.
Yeah, we check that out. So.
Yep. Do you guys actually? So you make these bolt handles on site, or bolt knobs, or what do you guys make? I've only heard third person. So
we take the Vortex approach. We're a marketing company. No, just kidding. So we design all of our stuff, but my business partner is a chief financial officer for a software company, and I also am an IT manager for a software company. And in our our chief of operations has been with us for 7 years, and he runs our 12 employees that we currently have. And so we use job shops. We use one in Idaho, one in Utah, and then we have a shop in Texas that does all of our plastics.
So. Okay, but what are your you make bolt knobs, bolt handle? Like, what are your top products? Because I look at your website and I see like other brands as well that you guys retail for online. But like, what are the ones you guys are making, or is there a section on the website that's just
Yeah, there's
like
a section on the website that's just go to brands, just Anarchy Outdoors. So we started as a retail shop, right? We started as a retail shop and then quickly learned. Well, one, I bought a Ruger precision rifle. Yeah. You there, Max?
No, I was gonna say, Aaron. Yeah, your voice was breaking up.
How about now?
You're good.
Okay, so Steven, Anarchy started as a retail company, and then I bought a Ruger precision rifle, and there was no parts for it. So we started making parts, and then we started going into other areas that don't have aftermarket support. So our bread and butter is making things that don't have a lot of aftermarket support. So we started with the Ruger, and then we went into Tika, Thompson Center, Savage, Remington 700, you name it, and we probably make something for it. A lot of bolt handles, a lot of bolt knobs, a lot of scope bases, muzzle brakes. One of our number one selling products right now is muzzle loader, muzzle brakes, and ramrods and loading stuff for like the Paramount Pros and the CVA Acros and all sorts of things like that. And, so on the screen there, you can see, I mean, he's starting to go through a bunch of this, but all of the guns in these pictures are all personal guns to the company. That Ruger, that's gray and whatever, that's the gun that started the company. And then we've got Ruger Americans and Tikas and CZ 457s and 455s and all sorts of stuff. And then we have a section of the business that does tactical SWAT clothing for a company called UF Pro. We are their U.S. distributor, and we are their U.S. We do all of their U.S. SWAT team leads for the United States. So we've done teams all over the country. A lot of the competitors wear UF Pro. If you follow like Paul Dallin and like Paul Higley, the guys that went over to Italy and won, we have several of them wearing this. The ones that went to France also are wearing it. So if you shoot a lot out here in the West, especially competition styles, you see these pants all over the place.
You have speed loaders too. I just bought a bunch of those from. I lost mine for my muzzle loader.
Yeah, we've done funnels but our muzzle brakes, we've got. It took us a little bit, and I'm glad our customers helped us. Sometimes it's really hard to launch a product without a ton of experience, but we've got sabot rounds. We figure out how to get the sabot rounds to work through those muzzle brakes. We still don't suggest using them because the plastics are inconsistent on them. But we figured out the right dimensions the holes need to be, and they're our number one selling product. In 2022, they dethroned our 6-time champion, the Ruger Precision handle. Last year, they dethroned it. So.
There's been a trend just in the last, I believe, maybe 12 months that I've noticed, or maybe 6 months even, probably about 12 months, back towards like muzzle loaders. And maybe it's been going on longer than that, but like I feel like when I went to Western Hunt Expo, it seemed really hot, and I hadn't seen that at SHOT Show previously or anywhere, and it seems like it's trending back in to use muzzle loaders.
Well, you're in Wyoming. You understand what it takes to draw a good tag, right? And in Utah, like you're spending 16 to 24 points to get a good bull elk tag, and it's a lot easier to draw a muzzle loader. And if you take the time with one of these new muzzle loaders, 400 yards is not a hard shot, nor is it an unethical shot. So there's a lot of legislation going around and stuff trying to limit that. But I mean, I have a friend he kills an animal every year at 400 yards with his muzzleloader. So
Yeah, I just have a CVA Optima rifle, muzzle loading rifle, obviously, and then a CVA Optima V2 pistol muzzle loader. Those are the only two that I currently own, but I didn't get into it till recently. It was like 3 years ago that I started, just mainly for fun. I just wanted something that was different, you know.
Yeah, the trend we're seeing in Utah is you can get a muzzleloader tag way easier than you can get a general rifle tag. Just it's the same with archery, right? Archery
and out east.
Good.
Yeah, and out east, like there's areas too where they have a huge muzzleloader only season, like a whole another 2 weeks or 4 weeks. And there's also a lot of areas where you are straight wall cartridge or shotgun only, but you can use a muzzleloader. And now with the technology, you're better off using a muzzleloader than like a shotgun with a slug. And so I think that's part of it as well. The length of the seasons they can get. There's only one unit in the entire state of Wyoming that's muzzleloader only, and so we're kind of a bad example of a state where there's like a really high return for using one.
Utah's a good example. Like, and since COVID, I don't know what happened in COVID. People got in the mountains more, but the hunting exploded, especially in Utah. Yeah. And now, because Utah's starting to urbanize so much, it's the hunting areas are starting to limit out a little bit. And then this last winter had a massive kill, just like it did in Wyoming, of the population. So they cut tags by like 50%. And if you don't have if you're gonna chase a trophy elk, you're gonna pay 20 years waiting for it, right?
Right.
The general bull units, don't produce monsters because they get hunted hard every year. So.
Right. Yeah, there was a massive influx, and honestly, sometimes I wasn't fond of it. But it's crazy how there's a massive influx during COVID, but even already I'm noticing that like probably, like 20% of that influx is actually going to stick around and keep doing it. And that's not just hunting. It was like hunting, biking, running, hiking. Like there was a huge influx of all of it outside, at least where I'm at, which is good overall. It's not a bad thing. But I see you guys make polymer throw levers too. Are those 3D printed or like, what are those? How are those?
Let's use the word additive manufacturing. Because when you say 3D, yes, they're 3D printed, but additive manufacturing, because when you say 3D printed, people are thinking, the striated $100 printer. These are printed on a $250,000 printer, and they go through a $100,000 worth of equipment post-processing, right? So these are on an industrial scale. They're made out of nylon 11. You can bend them backwards, forwards. You're not going to break them, right? We do the same thing with our pistol grips. I think out of the 10,000 we've sold, we've had 10 come back because they got shattered. Someone dropped their rifle in the freezing cold and it shattered. But it is what it is.
Yeah. I have like one or two really hideous, like cheap 3D printed throw levers. That's why I asked. They're not from you guys. I know that. But I was just curious because they're like overly bulky, and then they have that striations in them. And I think one or both of them kind of like stripped out too, like quickly. When I tightened them down, they didn't really.
Our design is really unique. We solved our screws, you won't like, you can twist and twist and twist them, but as long as like it looks seated, you're good. Because if you twist it enough, you'll just burn through the plastic and push out the other side. But no, they work great. They have an awesome design. They have a window you can see through them, and I mean they're overall great products, right? So take a look at the website if you need something. We're always willing to support channels and do different things. So
I'll get you contact information for each other so you guys can be fine. Also,
I got something for you, Max.
Ooh. Well, I can't see anything because you don't have your screen on, but you can set.
Here, I'll loan this to you, Max.
I can't see what you're showing. You're not on the screen.
What?
There's no video.
Why is my video not working?
I don't know. So when you're comparing group sizes from this to this, we could not see you at all.
How about now?
Nope.
You didn't tell me my screen wasn't working.
It's okay. So while Aaron's trying to figure that stuff out, well, basically say is like, I don't think 3D printed is a bad word anymore, especially considering that some of the best suppressors that you can find right now are 3D printed or additive manufacturing. So we're kind of going to, so like a lot of the SIGCAN, CGS, I believe some of the Dead Air Nomad ones are 3D printed, so it's not that bad. But I mean, even like with 3D printing, like yeah, there's like stuff that you print at home, and then there's stuff that's commercially done. But even like jet engine parts are 3D printed in titanium now, so it's not a big one. Drew, my conservation club has a once-a-year competition for muzzle loaders, speed loading, and shot counts on target in 5 minutes. So much fun to watch those guys. And while that, so GTM had a question. Have I tried to get the S8 5-40 at all? Surprised how little there is about that online. So Citron is a good company, but they do go through some people. And actually, the most interesting part was, so we had a really good video that we did at SHOT Show. And then here I am at a camera conference in New York City about 3 weeks ago. And I run into the former CEO of Citron. Yay. Actually, I don't remember if that was his position or not, but he was the guy that we did the video with at Citron. He's now the national sales manager for Panasonic. So I'm going to try to find out who the current contact is at Citron. I know they had that new scope. I haven't played with the S8 5-40, but the new, I believe it was the S6 first focal plane. They're supposed to get those out, and that could be good. But Citron generally, if you talk to Ilya, Dark Lord, they do make pretty good product. They're very, very popular in the F-class community, less popular in the PRS, NRL, precision rifle style shooting. Hope that answered that. But there's like literally, there are just some companies. There's literally some companies out there that are horrible with marketing.
I'm gonna do a shout out for Aaron, because I saw that they have Peak backpacking meals on their website that are on sale right now. And since I'm a hunter and I used some Peak meals in Alaska, and in my opinion, so far they're one of the best, or not truly one of the best, or the best backpacking meal, freeze dries meals that I've had. And their prices are very reasonable on them right now. They're a lot cheaper than I paid for mine, I can tell you that much.
And if you want to save, and if you want to save 10% on top of that, you can become a supporting channel member, and we do have an exclusive discount for our channel members at Anarchy Outdoors.
If it's, I don't remember if our flash sale has a code or not. If it has a code, it won't work. So,
all right.
Sorry. Hey, Max, on this, I can see myself inside the private view with the camera, and it's working. I don't know why it's not going over.
Did you?
YouTube stream. See, it just flashed.
But you're not. Well, it wasn't showing you though. Yeah, so I mean, like you're just like your camera's just like not showing. Like, did you have yours possibly X'd out? Like you're showed on the stream, but like your camera just isn't. Or pop out and pop back in on that same line.
I'll pop out, pop back in. 1 sec.
Just so we can see.
Because in the in the little panel where I can see all three of you, my camera is showing. So I'll pop out, pop back in.
Okay. Yeah, because on this end it's not.
They even have the biscuits and gravy one on sale.
Steven's getting hungry.
Well, all I do is eat. I mean, I gained 30 pounds in 6 months this year, but for real, those I'm tempted to buy some myself. Like those are good meals, and they're usually like $15 to $17. I want to say, even at like Walmart, and they're $10.99 right now on their site.
Hey, look, someone's camera's working.
Is it working now?
Yes, it is.
Hot dog. There we go.
There he is.
Yeah, so Peak Refuel, great company. Their peach cobbler is good. My son loves their biscuits and gravy. They're a Utah company. I didn't know that. So the Cody is our operations chief of operations. He's a big hunter. So when he wants to use something, it ends up on our website. He's the king of good deals for himself.
The flavors are way like so I've used Backpacker's Pantry and Mountain House, of course. Mountain House is cheaper generally, but Backpacker's Pantry, it's like they only have one or two that, in my opinion, are good, and then they discontinued one of the two that I liked. And then Mountain House is okay, but like when I had the Peak, it was like a lot better flavors, and I think bigger servings as well, if I remember correctly. So
yeah, I think I guess I should look this up, but Peak is by a former SF guy, I believe, or a Ranger, or I don't know, something special in the military. I'll have to go look it up. But they put a lot of pride into their product, and their product is really, really good.
Okay.
So, Max, this is what I said I could loan you.
It's a barreled action. I can barrel. What is it?
I have a 16-inch Voodoo I can loan you.
Ooh, that could be fun. All right, so here's a question for you. And so you're like basically the king of 22 now. Now you brought up a comment, hey, just go buy Voodoo. But like, okay, for those that don't know, what's the price of a Voodoo? And realistically, for somebody who does not want to spend $5,000 or $10,000 on kitting themselves out for NRL 22, or PRS 22, what should they be looking at?
Okay, number one, decide what you decide what you want to accomplish, meaning what class you want to shoot in, right? You want to shoot in base class, you want to shoot in open class, whatever, right? That right there will determine what you can and cannot do, right? If you want to shoot in base class, I think it's $2,000 or less, and that includes the optic, right?
Okay.
So, I mean, there's your Savage Mark IIs, your CZ 457s, your Tika T1X, the Bagara BMR are great options, right? Now, if you want to compete on the highest levels, a Voodoo or a Rimex is you just want to go straight there, right? And if money's an issue, you can build up you can build up to it. There are plenty on the aftermarket market, so you don't have to wait 2 years. I happen to be really good friends with the guys at Voodoo, so I sponsored their team, and they gave me a credit, MSRP credit for sponsoring their team, and they put mine together really fast. But I bought two the other day on the open market, and they cost me $1,400 a piece for the barreled action, which barreled actions now go for 2,040 an action. They used to be 1,950, but they've gone up like everything else. So, and then you can put it in whatever chassis trigger you want and scope combination, and you can go anywhere from 5 to 10 grand. But a lot of times I tell people, if they're just getting into it and they don't have a bunch of random chassis in the closet or triggers like I do, I love that 457, man. It feeds really well, and they shoot really well out of the factory. They have the most aftermarket support until you get to the Bagara B14R, right? Because it's a Remington platform, then it has all the aftermarket support. So, but
yeah. So here's a question. Practically speaking, I mean, like, what does a Rimex or a Voodoo get you in terms of, let's say, accuracy or reliability that a stock 457 or a Ruger Precision Rimfire or any of those guys won't be able to? So, I mean, I know, like, let's say, for example, with the centerfire world, okay, like there's one MOA, which you can pretty much expect out of almost any box. Then sub 3/4 MOA, you're going to need to spend more. And then it's almost like to get just a little bit more, you're going to need to spend 3 or 4 times as much. and my camera battery just died. But so is that the same thing in the rimfire world? Because it's like, it seems like switching to good quality ammo can really unlock, almost like shooting the good ammo for your cheap gun can produce better results than shooting mediocre ammo out of like a really stupid expensive one. And then along the same lines, you can expand on that. Well, we're going to talk about optics for, there will be a question.
Yeah, so here's a funny dichotomy, right? I can shoot any custom rifle that I want for center fire, but I sell aftermarket parts for factory rifles. So I shoot a Ruger Precision custom shop. And that rifle loves the 105 Black Hornety ammo, right? It loves it so much. I haven't shot the 109 burgers, that are 40 or 50 bucks a box. I haven't shot any of that because the 105 Black is shot perfectly. Now, in the rimfire world, I have seen factories. Actually, there's a lady I shoot with. She lives just up the street. Her factory CZ will shoot on the same level as my Voodoo, right? But she got a lemon, and it's the ultralight barrel one, right? Pencil barrel, like it is the most incredible factory rifle I've ever seen. But they're 1 in a million, right? So what you're looking for when you get a Rimex and you get a Voodoo, a lot of the reasons, number one, why you would buy that is aftermarket support, right? You can put it in the chassis you want. You can mimic your centerfire gun. There's so many options, right? You can spend $400 for a Bravo or $1,500 for an MDT or an MPA or whatever, an XLR, whatever your fancy is, right? You can use a Bixen Andy, you can use a Trigger Tech, you can use a Timney, you can use a Jewel, whatever trigger fancy that you fancy, right? And just the care that a machinist takes to put your barrel on. Like I walked through Voodoo Shop the other day and they explained, how they do barrels and stuff. And most of your high end gunsmiths do something very similar. Is just the time and care that they put into that produces. We're talking 1/4 inch at 50 yards, right?
Okay.
That's the standard, 1/4 inch. I have a Voodoo that I play with and that my buddy loans to me. They didn't pass their testing and it shoots 0.33 5-inch groups of 50 yards. It didn't pass their standard of quality. So that's what you're looking for because rimfire is really difficult when you're shooting tiny little targets at distance, right? The deviation side to side on standard ammunition is enough to make you miss, right? And it could just be because it's cycling it within its, half MOA group or whatever, right? So I found myself, and yes, my CZ is not shooting like it should, but I found myself scoring way lower than I should have been. I was shooting 400s, and now that I have my Voodoo, I'm shooting 680s and 600s, and I'm in 3rd place of my overall local 22 match, right? And not saying I'm the best shooter in the world. And Paul Dallin, he just went and took 2nd place in Italy. He beat me, every day I could ever shoot against him. But last time I shot against him, he only beat me by 4 points, right? 4 impacts, and it's because, I can trust the rifle 100%, right? And now that I can trust my rifle 100%. I'm focused on my skills, right? My soft skills and things like that. So getting into the sport, whatever budget you have, go spend it, right? But if you're going to get serious, buy once, cry once, right? Or get into it. This is what I tell people. Go buy a Ruger Precision rimfire for $500. It's ready out of the box. The Tika T1X isn't. The BMR isn't. The CZ457 isn't, unless you buy the Manor stock, but then you spent $2,000 anyways. So
why do you say those
go
other
buy that and go buy that rifle and see if you like the sport.
So why do you say those other rifles aren't ready?
Well, they're not ready out of the box, right? You can't put an arc rail on them. They don't have a flat handguard. Their trigger's different. No cheek comb, right?
Okay.
The Ruger is the only rifle
Yep.
in the base class that's out of the box ready, right? You mentioned all of this earlier in the stream.
Yep.
Adjustable cheek well. There's every accessory in the world made for it. M-lock handguard. You can put an arc rail on it.
Yep.
Has a trigger. Has trigger support. It has a threaded bolt handle already. It comes with a 30 MOA scope base. You can use 15 round mags and 10 round mags in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a threaded it's got a threaded muzzle, right?
Yep.
It's set up, ready to go for $500.
Yep.
Right? Like I bought a CZ. Well, for $400, and I had to go buy a $400 Bravo chassis and a $60 Arca rail, and then I had to go, then I had to go buy a scope base. I go buy a $100 Area 419 scope base, right? So my $400 rifle turned into $1,200. And yes, it will shoot most likely better than the Ruger Rimfire, but the Ruger Rimfire will get you in for cheap enough that if you like the sport, then you can take the dive to either a Bagara B14, like shout out to A&J Sporting Goods. He got some straight tapered barreled actions. He's the only one in the country that has them from Bagara. They're going to be amazing. Like that's $1,200, right? Still $800 less than like a Voodoo, and it's a Remington platform, right? So I mean, wet your whistle. If you're looking to get into the sport and you live close by, like a nice club, there are loaner rifles, whatever you want, right? Go play with things, and then look at your budget and see what you want to do, right? So, my brother-in-law's in this perfect spot, right? He's got a Tika T1X that's tricked out, and I bought a Voodoo. I bought two Voodoos. I bought a pair of Voodoos the other day because I got a killer deal on them, and I set it up for him in an ARC chassis, and now he's like humming and hawing on the fence if he wants to replace the barrel on his Tika, if he just goes, all in and buys the gun I gave him as a permanent loaner. So
now,
So basically,
what
would
about?
it be fair to go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, what about is it Anschutz?
Anschutz is a great rifle. Very limited aftermarket support. So I had a buddy.
Go ahead.
I had a buddy that just went to Italy and he shot in the base class and he shot at Anschutz. He ended up taking like 18th overall. I'm not sure what he took in his class, but Anschutz is a great rifle. Super awesome rifle. It just lacks the aftermarket support of a Remington footprint.
And what do you think about Zermatt? Or that's the Rimex you're talking about?
Yeah, the Rimex is a great option.
Yeah.
I mean, Voodoo's a Utah company, and I work with them, so I like the Voodoo. There's nothing wrong with the Rimex. The magazines are really, really expensive, and they're really finicky to get them to feed. I don't like fiddling with things unless I have to.
Right.
And if you're willing to fiddle with them, they'll run flawlessly, but it's also control round feed. So you cannot single feed the gun. It has to feed out of a magazine. So other than that, they're great guns.
Last year when I was looking at that 22s, I almost got, because I don't really shoot that much rimfire since I was a kid. I haven't, but I was looking at the Voodoo, and I ended up getting the CZ, but it's the CZ Varmint Precision chassis rifle. Because I'm like, man, I can't really justify it. And the truth is that the proof's in the pudding now. I've had it for a year and I haven't used it, basically. So it's like, yeah, I was right. Like, like maybe one day it would be worth it to get a better one, but first I got to use what I have, so to speak.
It gets addicting. Go stretch it out to 300 yards. It becomes really addicting when you realize that you can take that to 500 yards consistently. Now, the rimfire world takes a lot more work. You need 1,000 round.
Aaron, you just froze up. All right. You need 1,000 round magazine?
No,
Uh-oh. Just went out again.
You keep freezing up.
I got mine primarily because there's a way more 22 matches where I'm at than like PRS. And there's and it's really cheap. And there's a lot there's a lot of local stuff available match wise, and it's really cheap. And so that's why, but then I got it all set up, and it's ironic because I think my first or second most expensive scope I've ever bought is actually on that Rimfire rifle. I have the Vortex Razor Gen 3 on it, which is probably, I think it's the most expensive scope I've ever bought. I'm not sure. I have a Steiner that might have been close, but and so it's crazy.
GTM just asked what's on my comp rifle, and I have a Vortex Gen 3 6 to 36 on my comp rifle. And the reason is it has 36 mils of adjustment, and I have it on a 40 MOA base in a 20 MOA mount, and I dialed it all the way up. I have 34 mils of adjustment, which is 580 yards before I have to use the reticle.
Yeah,
so that's what I've got on my gun, and that glass is super clear. It parallaxes at 10 yards. The reticle is decent.
You need the new Tract. You need the new Tract 4 to 25.
They don't have a retail program, so I don't have any incentive to ever use any of their stuff.
That's basically the conversation I had with them about. Was it 46 or 48 mils of internal adjustment on it?
Yeah, I would love to play with one, but they don't have any incentive to send me one or even give me a good deal. And it was just, I would love to play with one. On my centerfire rifle, I have a Mark 5 to 25 with a PMR2 reticle on it. And I'll tell you what, to compete, that reticle is insanely well designed.
What do you think of the turrets on that Gen 3 Razor? The one thing that I didn't like was that it seemed like if I push down even just by accident a little bit, they'd want to lock more.
How old is yours?
It's when they first came out.
When it first came out?
Yep.
You might call Vortex and send it back. They fixed the turrets.
Really?
Yeah.
That was my complaint.
I have one of the newer ones. You might just call their customer service and ask them, say, hey, I got one of the first ones. Is there any way we can swap this out or fix the turrets? Because that is a complaint. And I've had all the scopes. I've had tangent thetas and zero compromises and all of that. And the tangent theta's reticle's too thin for me. I can't use it well. The Zcos are super nice, but I can't justify $4,000 on a rifle scope for multiple rifles. So I settled on that Gen 3 Razor for rimfire. And when you take your gun out and shoot it at 150 yards, you can watch that projectile all the way until it hits the target and falls.
You're making me want to go out and start shooting rimfire more because I
love shooting rimfire.
It's fun. Go buy the pop can challenge. It's 50 yards. It's a pop can cut out every 50 yards to 300 yards, so the target's the same distance all the way out, and try and hit it. It's like hit to move on 10 rounds. It's great fun, and it translates. Rimfire translates directly to centerfire. All you have to do is recoil mitigation. The same skill set, the same breathing, all of that. I had the opportunity to take out one of my employees. She just won the National Rodeo Lightweight 22 Championship. So she won it. I think it was in June or July, where it's shoulder, kneeling, prone with a 8-pound 22 at, I think you can use fixed 10 power, and it's at 50 yards. I took her in July to her first NRL match, and she shot a 500. Took 15th out of 50 shooters, and we had Paul Dallin was there, right? Paul Dallin just took second in the world to Chris Simmons, so she was in 15th with people like Paul Dallin there, right? So it was really fun to watch her try a new discipline, but her skills of trigger control and breathing translated directly into positional stuff. That was the only thing she had to learn, was how to move with the gun. She's never dialed before because it's all 50 yards. So a few of those things, right? So rimfire translates directly into centerfire. It's just recoil mitigation. That's all you have to fight then.
Probably helping me with my flinch. I've been shooting I go out and I'll shoot 60 to 80 rounds of 300 PRC out of hunting rifles in one range trip, and I am developing a flinch from it. It's just, I can't help it. I'm just
shoot your 22.
Yeah.
The other thing is go buy a Maverick suppressor. and your flinch will go away. That Maverick suppressor with its anchor brake on it.
The
It will
area
go away.
419.
Yeah, I started shooting the strike without warning brake on my centerfire rifle.
Okay.
I'm developing a flinch, even though that brake does a good job of blowing away from you. But yeah, I noticed that on my last range trip. I was having anxiety and I was flinching and I was like, oh,
Even on your
I gotta
sixth
put my
Creed?
suppressor back on. Yeah, like well, that brake is so aggressive that
It is.
it like the gun doesn't move, right? You pull the trigger and it's cheating, but it's so aggressive and it blows stuff out of it. Like, and I've shot like filming guys with it next to it, so I just know what it does, and I've got hit in the face with stuff over and over by that brake, and not while I'm behind the gun when I'm sitting
Yeah.
next to it. When you're behind the gun, the tuner on that brake mushrooms the gas around you. So it's miserable for the person next to you, but you as the shooter is okay. But because I know what it feels like on the side, I've been flinching. So that's the one thing I'd have to say. The Maverick is not as effective, but there's no flinch like that. It's just smooth. It's just smooth.
There you go. All right. Final question. And we're going to take this one because it's already getting almost midnight. And I think my dog needs to go for a walk. Would love to hear any insights in the future of our sport and what may be coming down the road given the coming elections and world events abroad. Very broad question. Personally, I don't think jack shit is going to happen. I mean, like, there's so many guns in this country. There might be some more executive actions, but now you have Democrats, liberals, everybody in this country. They are deeply ingrained in the gun culture that I don't think anything major is going to be impacting. And especially since we have the Supreme Court that is smacking down some of the decisions. You have more amnesty weeks. So if anything, I mean, let's put it this way. It would be, if I was an anti-gunner, I would not be touching any gun control legislation right now going into the election because it's definitely going to be used. So I think the next couple of years, I don't think we're going to see anything too aggressive. That's my take. And for shooting sports, I think like the actual NRL 22 PRS, I think there's going to be more and more growth as it's the natural progression for gun owners. So I would say, like, think back to the Wu days, the Wu and the riots. It's like we had so many more people become first-time gun owners, and now those people are going out and being more interested in the sports. They're going out to try those matches. They're going out to do more things, and that's only continuing to blow up.
Yeah, the only comment I can really say on this is go buy a 22, introduce all of your non-shooting friends to 22. Yep. Do not start with a freaking stupid caliber. Those are the absolutely worst people in the world. Take them out, get them addicted to the 22, help them with their first handgun purchase, have fun. The only thing I can say is get your house in order. Make sure you have 10 loaded magazines for your favorite preferred weapon of choice, and and people may laugh, but go buy 2 or 3 months worth of peak refuel, or have some food storage, right? Have a little bit of food storage, have a little bit of water, have a little bit of ammo and a gun you're proficient with. And I'm gonna say it, but you should probably keep $1,000 or $2,000 cash in your house, right? Just emergency stuff, get home stuff, just basic stuff like that. You never know what's going to happen. Steven and I live in pretty gun-friendly areas, like in Utah and Wyoming, and the populations are there.
You have Mitt Romney.
Yeah, but he's not running again, and he's whatever. He's not well, yeah, whatever. Yeah, I can't say too much against Mitt Romney, but he wasn't my choice, and I did not vote for him. So
sorry, that poor monger. But I digress. No, you're right.
But right, just get your house in order, right?
Yeah,
that's all you can do. Are lean times coming? Yes. Is inflation coming? Yeah. I mean, whatever. We'll weather through it, and we'll see what happens, right?
I will say from the gun side, so visiting more and more gun stores, I mean, they're dropping the prices on guns left and right. I mean, sales are definitely coming down. There's only like
Yeah, the
so much.
industry's down 40%.
Yeah, there's only, let's put it this way, and like even when, I mean, anytime there's a crisis or a fear, it's going to be two types of people that are getting it. There is the new gun owners, but pretty much anybody who was going to be a gun owner is already a gun owner. And then the other side of it was, okay, well, when do gun nuts go out and buy guns? When you tell them that you can't have it. But after having 3 years of you might not be able to buy this, you might not be able to buy that, you're basically, from the economic perspective, you're pulling up the demand that was naturally going to occur in the future years. People have decided to pull money from elsewhere to buy those things that they might not be able to buy in the future. But there's only so long that you can keep pulling on that demand lever that pretty much, let's put it this way, after you have 50 lowers or 20 suppressors, it's like, how much more do you actually need for most sane gun owners, unless you're a collector? So that's why there's the prices are coming down significantly. The demand is there, and even like ammunition and primers. I mean, my local FFL has had primers sitting there for the last 4 months, even on primers.
What? I bet you they're now 450s or 200s.
They have small pistol, small rifle, large pistol, large rifle.
450s.
I haven't
should go
seen
buy
large
them.
rifle. I need large rifle and Magnum rifle primers so bad.
Yeah, the Federal 200s and
They're all
the
CCIs.
The CCI 450s.
Yeah.
If you can get 450s, go buy them all, and then hit all your PRS friends up and just rake them over the
I already
coals.
have, but see, here's the thing though. Like in our area, primers are everywhere.
No,
Must
dude,
be
ship
nice.
them out here to the west. Out here to the west.
I don't have any.
I'll drug deal them.
Wow. Okay.
So, you don't
I've
realize
been trying.
the big PRS shooters, dude. They go through 10,000 primers a year.
Yeah.
450
Usually that's large Magnum, right? No, what's the 450s?
Small Magnum, I think.
Okay. Well, so
I
why
can't
are we
get
using
primers.
why are we using small Magnum versus like small?
The you get a better pop and ignition out of a small primer hole.
But you're backing down the loads in those cases, right?
Yeah, most guys are shooting like a 6 dasher at like 2850.
Okay.
So PRS is funny. It used to be all about speed and velocity.
Yeah. Now
until
you
they
talk about it.
realized you can't make wind call corrections or shot corrections if you can't see the bullet.
Yeah.
Like, because your recoil puts you off just enough. So you're seeing slower bullets, so they have time to react to the impact or the miss. So
Yeah. So actually, Drew brings up a great point. So my local Sportsman Warehouse price of ammo has come down across the board approximately $10. 6.5 PRC yesterday is $54.99 a box of 20. A year ago, it was, if it had any, 110. Drew, I got one beat. My local FFL has Norma 6.5 PRC for $34 a box. Get as many as you want for 6.5 PRC.
yeah, Sportsman's Warehouse is about to declare bankruptcy, I think.
they're in a decent position. But no,
Have you seen their financials recently?
I have not in the past. What would do?
So one of my employees' brother used to work for Liberty Safes as their
Okay.
main rep, and he had made a comment about, well, the whole industry is down massive, and he was saying something about them teetering. So it'd be interesting to actually.
I'm gonna go for the financials. I mean, that's what I used to do.
I know that's what you do, so that's why I mentioned it.
I stopped following them. Then they're supposed to be bought out by Cabela's, and then they pulled that off. But in this area, they're popping up new locations, and when I do my on-site, when I go talk to the employees and stuff, they generally say they're doing fairly well. So it'll be interesting.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see. I've been trying to get our stuff in there for a while.
All their hunting camo is on sale right before hunting season because of their financials. So they put like all their apparel on like practically clearance right now. but yeah, they're going through some rough waters. But yeah, the whole market's down. I think that we're seeing the market's really softening in almost every area, not just not just sporting goods or or guns or ammo, but certainly maybe even more so guns and ammo and stuff. And I think that, like you said, the market's already bought. They've already bought out of fear, and now it's kind of like, well, that's over, and we're waiting to see what the next election brings. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist or a doomsdayist, so I'm not completely and totally worried. I don't like, like the little things that are being taken away, like the pistol braces or bump stocks or these little precedents that are being set, so to speak, and eating away at our freedoms. That does concern me. But I'm not also like, oh yeah, we're not going to have guns tomorrow and it's all going to fall apart. I'm kind of in the middle on all that. As far as how concerned I am, but
is your local sheriff going to come take yours?
No.
Neither is mine. So
no.
Now I don't know about Pennsylvania. Slav, you might be on the chopping block.
So I mean, what most people don't realize, Pennsylvania is Pennsylvania, so it's literally Philadelphia and Pittsburgh with Kentucky in between.
It's just like California, San Francisco, and LA.
Yeah, but I mean, it truly is like redneck here. So no, actually, I'll give you this one. So when we started doing with the e-forms, I know a friend, one of my friends now, he's actually a local deputy. And so, like, like when you do a SBR or you do a suppressor, you're supposed to send a copy to your local law enforcement officer. What he basically tells me, don't bother sending them, because as soon as we get it, we just throw it out into the garbage can anyway without even opening them up. So he's like, don't even.
Well, by law,
we don't even do that here.
Keep sending them.
Yeah.
the suppressor
He's
stuff
like,
here, nobody
just
does.
throw it in the. He's like, just throw it in the parking lot, and that's it. He's like, don't even bother bringing it in.
I think I did. I think when I did mine, we sent them all to the district, to the attorney general of the state.
Yeah, so that's actually what Silencer Shop does. So they sent them to Josh Shapiro's office before, and basically every time they would send it in, they would get a letter back. This is not the right place to send these into. You don't need to send them to us. Please stop sending them in the future. But so this is Silencer Shop. So every single one for the state of Pennsylvania, they sent it to the Attorney General's office just to bombard them, I suppose. Because, I mean, they are the chief law enforcement officer in the state.
Yep. That's funny.
Yeah. No, but where we are, it's not a problem. Anthony, if you need primers, I mean, your cloaks, you're in this neck of the woods, so just let me know. All right, cool. So, Aaron, where can people find you if they haven't heard of Anarchy Outdoors? And you can get a discount to Anarchy Outdoors, so hit the join button right under where Aaron is sitting. Become a channel member, and then go into the community tab, and there's a link there, and I'll repost it, where you have discounts for a number of our awesome vendors.
Perfect. Yeah, of course you can find the business Anarchy Outdoors at anarchyoutdoors.com. You can also find us on YouTube at Anarchy Outdoors, and Instagram and Facebook under those same handles. We do have TikTok. I was playing around. I had some impressive growth on TikTok before they banned everything I did. But that was. And just you're surprised? No, it was just an experiment to see if I could use the social media skills that I've learned over the years to see if I could get it to explode. And I did like 8,000 followers in 24 hours.
Sorry, it's always funny, like when you see gun people like, oh, TikTok banned me, when explicitly in the terms of service, it says you cannot post anything related to firearms, fake
I didn't get banned.
Real. Yeah.
They just took down a couple of my videos, but I didn't get banned. I just
got it as permanently banned. Like very permanently banned.
They didn't like the business one, but I have a personal one that they've taken some of my stuff down, but it's anyways. But then you can follow me personally too. I don't do a ton, but I'm also on the different platforms. So check us out.
And what's your OnlyFans?
Sorry, what was that?
What's your OnlyFans handle?
Oh, OnlyFans.
Shootersfeet.com.
You know what? There's a girl on Instagram called OnlyFans. Go look that up. It's freaking hilarious.
Only
I
what?
have to think of a good OnlyFans handle for that. So
Nice.
it'd be only gun butter or something.
Well, the interesting part is when OnlyFans first started coming out, they were supposed to be a competitor to Patreon, and they went out. There's like sports people, there was a bunch of content creators, and then what they quickly realized is, hey, if we allow porn content in there, so basically porn overran the entire platform. But OnlyFans originally was intended to be fans of content creators, not porn. And the
Right.
owners, the investors who came in, they actually were against it. So they try to take adult stuff off of the content, off of the platform. That completely killed it. And they're like, okay, fine, we're making money, so we'll just keep allowing this.
I'd love to see what
Anarchy Lube.
I'd love. Oh, there we go. There we go. I'd love to see. I'd love to see the contract on how much they take off your revenue stream on OnlyFans. That'd be interesting to look at.
Who knows? All right, Steven.
Oh, yes. You can find me
Mr.
at
Bearballs. Bearballsonly.com.
Oh my gosh. Bullets, the number $4, bulletsforbucks.com, and YouTube, Bullets for Bucks, obviously. And then we're basically on every other platform as well. So
Except
Instagram,
TikTok.
Facebook, and well, there's a TikTok, Bullets for Bucks 2.0. There is. They don't like me. I went, like it was like what he's saying, it exploded, and then I got permanently banned, and now it's like dead in the water. And I had to, censor myself out of oblivion to stay even on my second account. So, but anyways, yeah, pretty much every platform out there, maybe 12 or 13 platforms, you can find Bullets for Bucks, and primarily YouTube is where the bulk of our content is. You can reach me at bulletsforbucks@gmail.com too. And then
we got to get him to buy a domain.
I know, right? I was just thinking about that.
You had me, Steven. I was ready to commit, send you free gear, and then you killed it with a Gmail address. Just kidding.
Oh, I have a domain for my website, but yeah, I thought, not for, I don't know. I like Gmail. I have like 10 Gmail accounts. So, but I could buy a domain for it.
You can put your own domain in a G Suite account, buddy.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for joining. This is actually really interesting. This week you will have the 2 videos on the first impressions with the Springfield 2020. And then actually at the end of the week, I will have the video on the Savage 6mm ARC 110 before we accessorize it, and that's going to be a really, really, really fun gun. As always, thanks for watching. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for the support. Become a channel member if you haven't done so already. Aaron, thank you for supporting the channel. Steven, thank you as always for popping on, considering you don't want to do your own freaking live streams. But I digress.
I'll just be grateful. I'll probably charge you soon, so.
Mr. Best Gun Chick. Nice. So, as always, thank you everybody for joining. Thank you for your questions and comments, and I will see you next week.